Fyodor Dostoevsky, probably the most famous.
Dostoevsky is a force and writes some of the best fiction, I think, in the world.
The first half reads sort of like a philosophical treatise a little bit, and the second half is a novel, more like clear action and plot and things like that.
People describe it as a lot to work through, specifically because we're dealing with, again, quite like Remains of the Day, an unreliable narrator. And yet this is a insane, in some ways, unreliable narrator who can be tough to spend a lot of time with, let alone the 40 or 50 pages where he's just spilling out the contents of his consciousness onto the page. And what he does with that freedom is stay completely underground and not engage with society, and write in this diary to an audience that he claims he will never publish for and will never read his book, but wants to scratch down all of his philosophical musings, how he thinks about society and how he thinks about himself. Whereas part two is him reflecting on experiences in his 20s, where he possibly shows some of the elements he discussed in part one coming to fruition, or maybe they're places where what he epitomizes in part one contrasts with what he actually does in part two. But there's quite an interesting juxtaposition between the two parts of the novel.